Morning announcements. Today is February 8th.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Happy birthday today to Jack Helke.
Building news. No parent drop-offs during the school day. If you forget your lunch, let your first period teacher know, and they will notify the office that you will be getting a box lunch in the cafeteria. If you forget your Chromebook charger, you can get a loaner in the IC. If you forget your charger, you can see your classroom teacher for the room charger. Your school planner each night before bed to organize plan for your school. What you need with you in your backpack. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Benjamin Franklin. All students should plan to bring a water bottle with them that can be refilled as necessary and a spare mask in their bag.
Attendance reminders. If you have an appointment during the school day, please bring a note to school or have your parent call in the absence. If you will be out of town, please submit a planned absence form to the office for approval from your building principal, Mrs. DeSenza. If we do not have this form, your absence will be marked as unexcused.
Club news. Be sure to order your school yearbook. Tell mom or dad that the order link is included in the newsletter.
Student council meetings this week. 8th grade student council will meet today during the second half of 5th period, 12:30 in Mrs. Aronovich's room. 7th grade student council will meet tomorrow, Tuesday, during the second half of 4th period, 10 o'clock, in the cafeteria. Links for joining virtually will be posted in the Google Classroom.
Eighth grade Guidance Advisory Council. We will meet at the beginning of fifth period today in the IC. Please check into your regular advisory first for attendance.
Hi, middle school. My name is Mary Catherine. I'm here with the Club Connect to invite you guys to our next meeting. This is an amazing club where we bring students together doing super fun activities to help make everyone in our school feel included. Our next meeting is this Thursday, the 11th. We're going to do crafts during your recess period, and we will be making Valentine's Day hearts. Unfortunately, we can only have 25 8th graders and 25 7th graders attend each recess period. So if this interests you, please check the sign up genius that is posted on this Google slide and sign up as soon as you can. In Connect Club, we strive to make our school a better place for everyone. Please join our Google Classroom if you are also interested. The code is HBLF7TP.
Word Person of the Week. This month we focus on people of the week instead of words. This week the theme is inspiration. Have you ever inspired others? Here's a video on ordinary people doing extraordinary things, inspiring others to take a stand. The American History Museum in Washington, D.C. highlights these four men: Joseph McNellan, Franklin McCain, Richmond, and Jabri Townsend.
Greensboro 4 were yours truly, Joe McNeil, David Richmond, Junior Blair, and Frank McCain. We all lived in the same dormitory. I think we're all very young. I was the youngest, I was 17. I reacted to the Jim Crow South with anger. I did not believe for 1 minute that I was a second-class citizen, that I was inferior in any way to whites, greens, whatever. I couldn't live the lie. We decided to take a stand. Let's go. Let's do it. So we purchased small items, sundry items, to establish the fact that we were customers. And then we sat down on a stool and asked for a cup of coffee. And the store manager told us that he wasn't going to serve us. The local establishment grossly underestimated our anger and the ability to hang in there. So when we were leaving the store, the Associated Press was there. And they said, "Hey, boys, what you gonna do?" We said, "Well, we're gonna come back. And we're gonna keep coming back until you decide to serve us." We started growing. First day 4, the second day probably 16 or 20. It was organic. It's a mind of its own, kept growing. We decided that whatever actions we were going to take, they were going to be nonviolent. We remained nonviolent. On the third day, it started to get rough. At any time, we could have been carried out of that store in a pine box. We didn't want to be martyrs. We had to do what we needed to do.
I was a student at Fisk University in Nashville. February 1st, 1960, we heard that 4 young black men sat in at a lunch counter in Greensboro. We had our first sit-in Nashville on February 13th. I'm really amused sometimes because people say, "Oh, you were so brave." And the truth is, I was afraid the whole time. But the choice was to do what was necessary to end segregation or to tolerate segregation. And that just was not acceptable.
Greensboro became the message. It was like, if they can do it in Greensboro, we too can do it. And there were young people and people not so young, adults, in major cities outside of the South, participating, sitting in at lunch counters. They were picketing the stores to support the students in the South. And you had people like Martin Luther King Jr. saying things like, by sitting down, we were standing up for the very best in American tradition.
And I think that's really important for people to know that it was ordinary people, quote unquote ordinary, like themselves, who did everything for the civil rights movement, that it was really a people's movement.
These young people injected something very meaningful, something really beautiful. So you may not have a lot of money, you may not have a lot of power, but you have what Dr. King and Gandhi and others call soul power. Just using your body as a nonviolent instrument, as a tool, you can change things. You can inspire hundreds and thousands and millions of people to speak up, to speak out.
I walked away with an attitude that if our country is screwed up, don't give up. unscrew it. Don't give up. Which in retrospect is pretty good for a bunch of teenagers.
Make it a great day, CFMS.